What happens when a well-known creator goes out of their way to celebrate their diagnosis, documenting it, buying a cake, putting decorations on the cake, and seamlessly seems very happy to do so, while being excited that you finally got an answer is one thing, straight up going onto TikTok as your first instinct after your diagnosis certainly had some people scratching their heads. On top of that, being ecstatic on the fact that other creators have the same disorder as you, and doing a complete 180 on your channel and dedicating every single video to this disorder, and one that they sadly didn't even get a diagnosis for in the first place, but actually shooting the gun far too early. It's TikTokers and creators like this that really make it dangerous, spreading misinformation on what they think they actually have, when in reality they don't have a diagnosis, and everybody starts to question their actions. Before we get into who I'm talking about, today's comment shout out, and that goes to Bev Mulroy. Thank you so much for your comment. If you guys want a shout out in the next video, please make sure to leave a comment down below saying, TikTok is dumb. You're not wrong, and you might even win a shout out. So who are we talking about in today's video? This is who.
It was so beautiful, it made me cry. I came to school the next day and I was chatting in the halls with my two other friends in fashion who I didn't even know were also in on all the dissociated lore.
Sometimes people engage in extreme attention-seeking behavior simply because their universal human need for attention isn't being met. I'm talking about those look at me types who treat serious mental health disorders like their badges of honor. Because every time I come across someone new claiming to have DID online, especially when it's clear they're inspired by TikTokers or other influencers without a proper diagnosis, I just at this point can't help but kind of cringe a little bit and feel extremely frustrated. Like I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well at this point. And look, that's coming from someone who doesn't even have the disorder. So I can't imagine how more annoying it must be for those who actually live with the disorders. It's utterly bizarre. Really, I mean, just how many people act like having an unseen disorder is the coolest thing ever, even going as far as to celebrate it. And the worst part, they're unfortunately everywhere at this point. And here's where we talk about the main topic of today's video, Gillian Vesey, who's better known on YouTube as Pixelocks. Yes, I know you guys have been wanting this one for a while, because of something she did a few years ago. This internet personality actually celebrated her dissociative identity disorder diagnosis with a cake, which reads Happy DID Diagnosis. Really? Now look, I understand it can, for some people, it absolutely be refreshing to finally get a diagnosis. I'm not knocking that at all. I understand that having something wrong with you for the longest time and finally figuring out what it is relieving and actually probably makes a lot of people feel happy that they can put a name on the thing that they have. It just gives them an all-round better understanding. I get that. But what I do not get for the life of me, and most of you agree here because this is quite a talking point on the channel, as I see a lot of people still bring it up even today, is going out of your way to buy a cake with Happy DID Diagnosis on it and posting that to TikTok and celebrating it while making videos, almost flaunting your disorder. Is that not a bit over the line?
Okay, so I'm at the superstore and I'm gonna get a cake. I'm gonna get a cake that also, this is inspired by Kai Robinson on Twitter, who had the congrats on the autism cake. I'm gonna get a Happy DID Diagnosis cake. Let's go. Could I get some writing on this cake?
Look at it go. I just did a little photo shoot. Oh my god, wish me luck.
From what I remember, DID, like any other disorder or condition, makes life a living hell filled with trauma and suffering. This is obviously a very serious condition. and makes you feel like you're out of touch with your own experiences, or completely forgot things you've done or said, even though others remember them. The confusion and stress of feeling like you're observing your own life from an outside perspective is almost unimaginable. Oh, and no medication can truly cure this. So, yay? Congrats, you have DID? Just think about it. How you would react if someone said to you, "Amazing, you've really made it." Seriously, if someone said that to me, my blood would probably boil. You are congratulating me for having an untreatable disorder. Are you okay? And look, let's get one thing clear. I'm totally not just outright fake claiming pixie lots. I suppose we'll figure out the truth by the end of this video. But celebrating a disorder that turns life into a nightmare for others feels deeply inappropriate and utterly disrespectful and confusing. I mean, especially since the people I know with DID aren't exactly throwing confetti about it. And look, yes, people do absolutely deal with things in their own ways, but this is a line that's being crossed that honestly just doesn't even make any sense, more than anything.
This is a mess. I'm sorry. This is gonna be the absolute messiest meet the altar imaginable. Are you kidding me? Sorry, have fun editing this. But in a social situation, and especially online, I really don't care about a lot of stuff that she cares about. And we didn't even realize that until we were in therapy. And yeah, our therapist was like, "We can tag you as like a social media protector as well." And I was like, oh, slay. So I'm helpful in multiple ways. Thank you very much.
So what prompted me to make a video about her? Well, the numerous inconsistencies in her stories and the way she consistently shifts from one mental health issue to another, with dissociated identity disorder, DID, being the latest addition to her long list. So Pixie Lott started her YouTube channel at 16 with a focus on Lolita fashion, and honestly I wish she'd kind of just stuck with that, because over the years her content has shifted to talking about her serious disorders, starting with borderline personality disorder, BPD, and schizophrenia. Now she's saying she has DID, which makes me very skeptical, especially with the evidence pointing to a different direction. In one of her videos, she even admitted she didn't know about DID until she had stumbled across it online.
I split off because we just simply needed someone that would enjoy it and take it because it was inescapable and happening multiple times over multiple months. Jill is getting triggered because we're talking about our salt. Jill is getting triggered, but it is not my fault. Let's take a drink.
She initially was just looking in from the outside in the adjacent mental health sphere, saying, "Oh no, trust me, I don't have it," but after watching other YouTubers, especially the big ones like Dissociated, she seemed to latch on to the idea, and you can actually hear the enthusiasm in her voice, like she's dying to join the club. We've also made videos in the past as well talking about Dissociated, so I'll leave those in the description if you want to check those out as well.
It's really fun when you meet other people in real life that like follow these people. You're like, oh my god, did you see that video? I love Jeremy, they're so cute together. Oh my god, the proposal, tee-hee. And all of this absolute joy and wonder that the Anthony Padilla dissociative identity disorder brought, I think, the community. I'm not in the DID community, of course. I'm only looking in from the outside in the adjacent mental health sphere, I guess.
And in one of her interviews, she gasped about feeling all warm and fuzzy when she found out about her favorite creators or celebrities had the same disorder as her. Honestly, at this point, I'm not shocked anymore. If Dissociated and Team Panata are a big part of that special connection she feels. When she first started making videos to destigmatize mental health issues, it honestly was really nice and a noble effort, but it looks like she got so wrapped up in the DID hype that she had started to think, hey, maybe I want in on this too. Honestly, she could have just as well said in that video, I'm not in the DID community just yet, but give me a minute. I've already got my starter kit on the way, complete with all the essentials, childhood trauma, suicide thoughts, and the works. I've just got to practice a bit more before being official. She has literally fallen into the rabbit hole of collecting mental illnesses like they're Pokemon. A trend that we see, unfortunately, way too often now.
I knew nothing about DID before I found Nin and Nan and all the other systems on YouTube, and I started researching it there. I really didn't understand. And I spend a lot of time on mental health YouTube, and I'm also quite a big fan of Anthony's. And I had been starting to see DID videos pop up in my recommended over the course of 2019, really, because you guys know I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder last year in the spring. Actually, I remembered I was diagnosed on Valentine's Day, so like, I love me. So basically, I was definitely on a big YouTube rabbit hole for like the entire year, and still up to this day, researching different things about BPD and other personality disorders, and dissociation, which is a symptom that is one of the main symptoms of my BPD is dissociation. So through rabbit holing and clicking through YouTube, I started absolutely falling in love with all these different DID YouTubers, specifically Dissociated and Team Pinata. Because Nan of Team Pinata also has BPD, and their videos have really helped me understand my symptoms better.
I mean, a lot of people online romanticize DID as if it's this amazing trend that you need to join to be unique. But the truth is, they're more interested in adopting these serious mental health labels without facing the real challenges and horrors behind them. There's nothing great about a disorder that's a result of such violent childhood trauma that the brain literally fractures to protect itself. But the funny part in all of this is the video was supposed to call out Trisha Paytas for her questionable DID claims, but somehow Pixie Locks ended up being just as much in need of exposure for her lies.
She also uploaded a video which didn't go as viral because I guess BPD doesn't get the clicks, but she made a video completely coming out saying she has borderline personality disorder, even though she also says in that video that she's not diagnosed.
It looks like her obsession also with DID and binge watching videos from other sketchy sources might be linked to her BPD diagnosis. Since BPD and DID share some overlapping symptoms, it's easy to see how she could have mixed them up, especially with all the confusing information floating around on Google. But honestly, if you really have DID, you would be dealing with things like alters, amnesia, and even blackouts. Stuff she hasn't even mentioned in earlier videos. And if she's not experiencing any of that, well, it's pretty clear at this point she doesn't actually have DID. It's honestly sometimes just really that straightforward. And sure, BPD can involve some dissociation, but DID is a severe dissociative identity disorder that develops as a defense mechanism. You definitely can't control your alters, and it's not something the host can manipulate, so it's kind of weird to see her videos where she's dressing up and changing looks for the camera, like her alters are on schedule for shifting. It's crazy.
I also follow creators with schizophrenia, with autism, with ADHD, with OCD. I really placed importance on learning about all kinds of mental health conditions.
And on top of all of that, just a few months after celebrating her DID diagnosis with a cake, she suddenly started claiming she already has 5 alters. Wow. I don't know about you guys, but that's quite the rapid expansion. Figuring out all your alters in DID is not something that happens instantly, or it being that common. It's usually a slow and careful process, guided by a mental health professional. It's not like you can just say, hey, I want to meet all my alters today, and there it is, it just happens. Your therapist works with you over time to build trust and help you process your experiences. And after that, alters come forward gradually as you work through your issues and traumas. So yeah, it really takes a lot of time to work out.
Wow, for being a social protector, I'm like nervous. Because I don't know, because I haven't done this before. And because this wig is hot. And because I'm filming in a weird place and I hope that Jill's not mad. I'm sorry. I thought it was fashion forward. A mirror, a crochet, this. Hi, my name is Sunny and this is my Meet the Altar video. I did like a TikTok before that I think we called Meet the Altar just because it was like my first time existing in the world. But yeah, I have been fronting a lot with Jillian, and I split off back in, what, March? When did that big hairy thing happen? And I've been really active on social media, but I haven't like made a proper sit down like, hello, hi, how are you?
But when you piece together Pixie Locks' story and these facts, it seems like she's trying to outdo the people she's criticizing for faking disorders. So not all of her audience is convinced and may share some doubts. But what does Pixie Locks do?
The reason I wanted this diagnosis on paper from doctors, whatever it would be, DID, PTSD, BPD, histrionic, I was open to anything. Schizophrenia, whatever's wrong with me, let me know. I want to work on it. And that's me. That is her right there. The psychologist told me to my face, how do you feel about receiving this diagnosis? How do you feel? And I'm so fucking lame. I literally said, so I can tell people I have this, right? Like I'm diagnosed with this. I literally said those words and she said yes.
She pulls out a diagnostic impression and flaunts it like a trophy, hoping to silence her haters and prove them wrong. See, I really do have something wrong with me, and I'm super proud of it. Here's the proof. But let's be honest, if your doctor told you that you had a serious condition, would your first instinct really be to immediately show off your diagnosis to everyone on the internet? And if it is, that's kind of sad. Why not take some time for yourself? Why do you have to share everything online or even necessarily bring up stuff? Because normally people keep such personal medical details private, especially if they're seeking real support, but this move seems more like a desperate attempt to validate herself rather than a sincere response to a serious mental health state. I mean, it is already insane that she celebrated her diagnosis like it was some kind of victory, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I mean, sure, getting a diagnosis, like I said as well, can absolutely be relief because you finally have answers and a direction for treatment, but celebrating it? I don't know, that just seems off. I'm not here to dictate on how someone should react, but it does seem pretty unusual to have this kind of a reaction and post it online for your followers to see. It's also pretty sketchy that Pixie Locks was so adamant about having this disorder based on just a diagnostic impression. I know this single piece of document paper might hint you have DID, but it's not the same as an official diagnosis. Think of it this way, a diagnostic impression is like a doctor's initial educated guess based on what they know right now. It's a provisional diagnosis that helps them decide on the next steps, like whether further tests or treatments are needed, but it's not the final word. It's more of a starting point than anything. An official diagnosis is what really confirms whether someone has DID or not, and it comes after more comprehensive evaluations and tests. While a diagnostic impression can evolve or even change completely as more information comes to light, sometimes it's given when someone has symptoms that look like a certain disorder but doesn't yet meet all the criteria for a full diagnosis. So Pixie Locks was jumping the gun and acting like she's got DID locked in, just based on an impression. It's not looking good. It also seems she might not have fully met the diagnostic criteria, despite showing off plenty of her symptoms. Maybe she missed a detail or two, or perhaps she didn't quite tick all the right boxes. Interestingly, it was her alter, Jill, who showcased the diagnostic impression in the video, and some of her viewers quickly pointed out misleading aspects. I think just that in its own right is a little bit off. I mean, I guess she can perhaps in further videos, if someone calls that out, blame it on an alter. It seems like a cop-out to me. Oh, and another thing. So her boyfriend decided to show up and explain that she actually had an official diagnosis on paper, though of course he never actually saw these mysterious documents, but Jill later admitted there was no official diagnosis on paper at all. Maybe she didn't get the memo to keep that under wraps. Maybe she should have watched her own videos when she called out people that have done this kind of thing in the past. But no worries, because she then tried to spin it saying she got verbal assessments instead and acted like she had always known it wasn't a real diagnosis. And I just want to quickly go back to her obsession with dissociated videos. We can also see it's definitely not helping her situation. There is real harm in digesting incorrect mental health information or knowledge from someone who is not a professional. Given all the issues with dissociated that I have discussed multiple months ago, I'm baffled as to why anyone would turn to her for advice, especially when she lacks proper education and a background in the field. Pixie actually idolizes this YouTuber, and in my opinion, this just proves that the following: the wrong person can lead you into a pit where you convince yourself you really have this condition, even if you don't. It's almost like the blind leading the blind, just spreading more and more misinformation, which other people latch onto, making this whole problem so much worse.
Whenabouts did you split? That one's important. Yeah, I split around the same time as Jerem, and it was from the same trauma. Obviously he split off to be more of a, like, intimidating as much as we can be at our, bodily, 5'1". The intimidating, kind of thick-skinned, spiky, rebellious part. And I split to handle the sexual assault aspect. So yeah, it doesn't affect me emotionally, which is crazy to say, but as a part, it does not affect me emotionally that I know that I exist because we were raped.
So after dropping that initial video, Pixie didn't just stop there and went ahead and released another one where she laid out every single detail of her supposed traumas. We're referring to the kind of severe transformative events that she believes are responsible for her DID. And honestly, at this point, guys, for those of you who are officially diagnosed and receiving treatment for this condition, I'd generally love to hear your thoughts in the comments on this. Would you be just as eager to share your deeply personal and traumatic experiences in such a detailed way to thousands of strangers online? It's really ridiculous to see someone like Pixie doing that. And if any of that is true, it's deeply sad. But on the other hand, why did she only begin sharing this information after her fans started doubting whether she was being honest about her DID and mental health diagnosis? Why wasn't any of this brought up earlier? But yeah, if these experiences really caused her DID, you'd expect them also to be too painful and serious to flaunt so casually, right? Things from the past that are absolutely disturbing aren't something most people want to relive and describe in such detail with a smile, let alone broadcast to the world. It's the kind of thing you discuss with a therapist, not on a YouTube channel for everybody to see. I think we can all agree at this point that most people would see a diagnosis to understand their condition and get proper care, not to show it off on social media. Sure, I get it, creators want content, but the way Pixie has handled this feels less like destigmatizing her mental health disorders and more like a desperate grab for likes and views. And now, if you take a look at her videos on her channel, it seems she has stopped posting DID content altogether, which in my opinion is a good thing. I'm kind of glad she's finally moved on from this. But it also does kind of make you wonder if the whole thing was even serious in the first place, if now it's not even mentioned. I'm generally curious after seeing this video What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you did enjoy today's video though, as I know this is one that you guys have wanted for a while now, please make sure to hit the like button down below. Spreading these videos is a great way to get the real information out there, and I always do really appreciate it. With that all being said, hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.